You know, you guys are in for another fabulous treat because today I have Kenneth with me. He is one of our strategy specialists and he spent 10 years in the automotive industry. And so he still tracks what's going on. And we all, as you know, we all come together in our team, in our little community and share what we know. Well, he knows automotive and he knows it better than I do. So Kenneth, I'm just going to hand you the floor.
So I spent 10 years in the automotive industry. I was in sales, I was in finance, I was a sales manager. So I've really experienced all factions of the actual industry. And, you know, the big thing that really caught my attention was these tariffs. They had to kind of step down a little bit earlier this month on those tariffs to promise that there would be no compounding tariffs, right?
I think, number one, what I like so much about your background is that you were front-facing, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you actually understand the experience of somebody that's coming onto a lot to buy a car.
Oh, yeah.
And can you speak to, even before the tariffs, the rise in the average price of a car and how that impacted people?
Yes, absolutely. So, you know, when it comes to the tariffs themselves that are being imposed now with this administration, yeah, they had to promise that, okay, only that baseline, it's a 25% tariff for, you know, any vehicle that's not made in the United States, which sounds good for like Ford and Dodge and stuff, but all of their parts.
I was just going to say, are those made in the U.S.?
Yeah, like in theory, right? But all the parts are sourced from Canada, Mexico, Middle East. So that's really why they promised, okay, we won't compound the tariffs, but these other manufacturers that are domestic manufacturers are still going to get those price increases just from the parts that they use to build their vehicles.
Right.
When we're looking at the inflationary effect of the tariffs, because they have the manufacturers have to pass that cost on to the consumer. They cannot absorb that cost. They've come right out and stated that. So you're going to see not only new car prices increasing, but then with used cars, you're right. They have to go through the shop before they're able to be sold at like a reputable dealership. Everything has to go through safety and smog, and if it needs a repair, well, I can even say from firsthand experience that right now they are not even able to get certain parts because they're coming in from Canada or Mexico and they're stopping them at the border because of these tariffs. So you could have infinite delays on parts that you would need to fix a vehicle to get it frontline ready. But even if they can get it in, it's going to have that increased cost. They're going to have to increase the sale price of that used vehicle.
How is that going to increase, say, the people that work there that are depending upon their income from these car dealerships or these repairs or all of that?
Yeah. So that's another that's one of those far-reaching consequences that I don't think they have necessarily, people don't see right away. So when you've got the sales department and you've got what they call fixed operations. So that's like the service drive and the parts people and everything. Well, they've already started implementing in some dealerships actually kiosks for the service department where people can just text and say, or go online and say, okay, I need to schedule an oil change, or hey, my car's got this kind of issue going on. They can drop the keys off in the kiosk 24/7, right? And then they just go about their way. And that kind of kiosk, contactless, no interaction experience can very easily be brought over into the sales side. And the reason why, too, is because you have to think about it. The manufacturers are being faced with their bottom line shrinking. Mm-hmm. So if they know that tariffs are going to eat away at that bottom line, even if, let's say, for example, you were a owner of a dealership, you have to do what the manufacturer says. You have to be in compliance with them. But knowing that there's not a lot of meat on the bone, so to speak, they could very easily just implement those kiosks for the sales department where now that bottom line frees up, because that's the biggest expense at the dealership is the commissions they have to pay out for salespeople, the salaries they pay, 401k contributions, health benefits, all of that if you can get away with that or get that taken away out of your bottom line, now you've got a better profit margin for the manufacturer, for the dealership, and that might be a way that they could try and justify, well, we didn't have to raise our prices as much because we didn't have this, bottom line issue.
Wow. Mm-hmm. I mean, the implications of that, it's like this trickle down, effect, because doesn't that impact those that can or might have been able to afford a car?
Yes, exactly. Now you're pricing more people out of the market. And that's another thing, too. As the manufacturer, you would be looking at decreased foot traffic. So now your numbers are shrinking for how many cars you're selling, you're putting on the road. So, yeah, it could justify them very easily saying, well, we need to make up that money somewhere, or even just shifting the entire way that I think the future of the commerce is going to look on a digitized economy. Why have people-to-people interaction?
Yeah. Why do that?
Right.
I mean, I'm grateful that I'm old enough to remember a day when most of the businesses were mom and pop businesses. And so it was absolutely human interaction. And if you were unhappy with something, I'm telling you, they wanted to make it right and they wanted to keep your business. And what do you think that businesses would do with this on again, off again, over here, over there, all of this chaos? Because the road ahead is not very clear.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great point too. When we're looking at how do you calculate that cost, right? If they're gonna, okay, well now it's just 2% instead of 4%. Well, actually it could be 3%. That's why I think it's all kind of part of how much chaos can they sow with these tariffs, right?
What are we seeing today with delinquencies on car loans and all of that?
Defaulting on mortgages are up. The repos are up. Defaulting on credit card debt is through the roof. And again, when you increase the price of anything just a couple percentage, it's all inflationary. It increases the recession odds. GDP can go down because you're not selling as many cars, so there's not as much revenue. And I genuinely am worried about if they want to replace the salespeople and the majority of the finance people with a kiosk. Those are decent income earners. Like salespeople in the car business, on average, make about $60,000 to $80,000 a year. If you're really good, you're making over $100,000. If you take that away, it's not like they can just go jump to another dealership to sell cars, right?
If everybody's doing the same thing, right? Yeah.
And then so now you have a whole disruption on how much money is going into the economy from those people as well as employees. So it really does have a huge impact on everything. And I believe personally that that's purposely the way they want it to go. They want to have digitization of everything. They want to have no human interaction. Just there's a thing called text to drive that's happening now in the car industry.
I haven't heard of that. Could you explain it?
Yeah. So what they do is you can just text all of your pre-approval from your credit union or your bank. You just text it to the dealership, so that way when you get there, you just have your pre-approval already there. It's already loaded in the system. So it's just baby steps to, okay, well, then you can just transpose that information onto a kiosk. You don't necessarily need to have that interaction anymore with the finance guy, typing in everything and shopping around for you. What rate can we get you? How can you get approved? It really is making it more just hey, I want to come in, get my car, and leave type of thing. So, maybe you have 2-3 minimum wage, people that are there to answer any questions and do a delivery, give you your keys, and, you're on the road.
So basically no help, no human interaction.
Yeah.
And that's the direction that they would like to put everything in, because hey, if you're not talking to your community and you don't have a community, you just feel more isolated and alone, and that's a whole lot easier to control, isn't it?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. And even if let's say, for example, if everything's done through a kiosk and there's no interaction with that, again, like you brought up, well, if you have a complaint, who do you complain to? The little chat thing on their website, and you don't even know if that's a human,
It's probably not. It's
right.
AI, right?
Yeah.
So it's not. It's I've watched the whittling away of that human connection. That's one of the advantages of being as old as I am is, I remember a lot of stuff that happened. But I want to also ask you, what's the biggest concern that you see, and can you relate why people should be doing the sound money strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. So my biggest concern is that breaking down of our traditional way of interacting, the traditional way of us having wealth, building wealth. That's the thing that I see coming. If you can have a digitized economy and the central bank or government is the one that owns that ledger, they've got their finger on the pulse 24/7, and they can turn that dial any which way they want, you're stuck in that wild roller coaster ride or that system. The sound money strategy, though, is so important in, number one, combating hyperinflationary environments or combating inflation. Again, these tariffs are just inflationary. So you're just going to see prices go up, purchasing power go down, and having the insulation from our strategy to say, you know what, even if it goes to zero, you're good. You're good.
Yeah.
And you're more than good, right? But
absolutely.
Yeah. And so our strategy is just designed to help you protect what you have, because that's the whole thing is. This is going to be the biggest run on our wealth that we've ever seen. So being able to actually safely hold and have it be secure what you've worked for your whole life is really the most important thing about our strategy.
Going to throw you a curveball. Okay, how old is your baby?
2.
2, okay. And so why did you come to Zang Enterprises?
Because
why are you doing what you're doing? And he does a lot of work. So, I mean, and it's not just for him or just for his client. I mean, we do share. We are a community, and he's created some fabulous pieces.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. The reason why is because I saw where I guess we could say financial system was headed. Because I was a part of it, I went through COVID. As soon as COVID happened, I knew something was changing, and so my biggest concern was, what we think of as like safety is not going to be safety soon. So
you mean like the treasure in gold and silver we trust?
Yes, absolutely.
Is there anything else that you want our audience to know about before we sign off for today?
Yeah, just, to make sure that if you haven't already reached out to get that foundation set for your sound money strategy, a lot of people might think, well, it's too much, or, hey, it's going to be all this complicated process. I mean, Lynette has spent years making this a very simple, streamlined thing. Our internal processes are the best I've ever seen anywhere. We really make this like as easy as possible for people. And you've got that peace of mind, which I've always said, you just can't put a price on peace of mind. And so that's what I would say. If you haven't, you need to reach out to us and get that sound money strategy secured.
Right. And I have to say, a big reason why we're doing this and bringing on like Jennifer before and now Kenneth, and we've got other people that are coming on board, is because I want you guys to know how smart our team is and how focused we are in all these different areas so that we can do a better job for you together, because we are a community. Would you say that?
Absolutely, yes.
I mean, you see me all the time. We go over things, you teach me things, I teach you things, right? I mean, that's what we do, and that's why we're better together.
Yes, absolutely. And it's like where you can build up one spot where you're weak, right? That's fortification.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And we share this information openly, not just internally, but also with you guys. It's important.
Yeah, it is.
Well, this has been great. Thank you very much. I'm sure everybody got just a little snicker snack of how bright this guy is. So I know, see, one person, I don't know as much about automotive as this young man does. He worked in it. He was in the middle of it, and he's paying attention to what's going on. And that's what I'm trying to show you in all of the different areas, that we have the experience. We have the people, and mostly we care a lot. And I would say that every single person at Zang Enterprises is truly there to be of service and make this world a better place. And I know that together, that means you too, we can accomplish anything. And so until next we meet, please be safe out there. Bye-bye.